Why, hello there. It is working good. Cool. Slightly new setup, or just moved around a bit, so things might not work, might be quiet, might be loud, don't know. We'll see. Hi. Welcome to the show. Yeah, this is Monday Night Moods on a Tuesday. So, yeah, Tuesday Night Terrors, it shall be called, this one. Due to general illness, general life crap, and weirdness. So, we are continuing on with my reading of Paradise Lost, a poem in 10 books by John Milton. This is weird because my camera's now in a different place, so it looks like I'm not looking at the screen. Oh well. Yes, anyway, so we are reading Paradise Lost. Monday Night Moods is a time when I come and I tell tales or read old texts. We delve into the occult and the esoteric of the devils that exist. So, yes, we are reading Paradise Lost. This is now book 5. So, we're at book 5 of 10. We're not even halfway through. Even at the end of this, we're not going to be halfway through. There's some long books coming up. So, bear with me. Book 5. Now morn her rosy steps in the eastern clime, advancing, sowed the earth with the orient pearl, when Adam waked so customed, for his sleep was airy light. From pure digestion bred, and temperate vapours bland, which the only sound of leaves and fuming rills, Aurora's fan lightly dispersed, and the shrill matin song of birds on every bough. So much the more his wonder was to find unwakened Eve, with tresses discomposed and glowing cheek, as through unquiet rest he on his side, learning half raised with looks of cordial love, hung over her enamoured, and beheld beauty, which, whether waking or asleep, shot forth peculiar graces. Then with voice mild, as when Zephyrus on Flora breathes, her hand soft touching, whispered thus, "Awake, my fairest, my spouse, my latest found, heaven's last best gift, my ever new delight. Awake, the morning shines and the fresh field calls us. We lose the prime to mark how spring attended plants, how blows the citron grove. What drops the mere, and what the balmy reed, how nature paints her colours, how the bee sits on the bloom, extracting liquids sweet." Such whispering waked her, but with startled eye on Adam, whom embracing, thus she spake: "O soul, in whom my thoughts find all repose, my glory, my perfection, glad I see thy face, and morn return, for I this night, such night till this I never passed, have dreamed, if dreamed, not as I oft am wont of thee, works of days past, or morrow's next design, but of offence and trouble which my mind knew never till this irksome night. Methought close at my ear one called me forth to walk, with gentle voice. I thought it thine. It said, 'Why sleepest thou, Eve? Now is the pleasant time, the cool, the silent, save where silence yields to the night warbling bird, that now awake tunes sweetest his love-laboured song. Now reigns full-orbed the moon, and with more pleasing light shadowy sets off the face of things. In vain, if none regard, heaven wakes with all his eyes, whom to behold but thee, nature's desires, in whose sights all things joy, with ravishment attracted by thy beauty still to gaze. I rose as at thy call, but found thee not, to find thee directed then my walk. And on, methought, alone I passed through ways that brought me on a sudden to the tree of interdicted knowledge. Fair it seemed, much fairer to my fancy than by day, and as I wondered looked, beside it stood one shaped and winged, like one of those from heaven, but by us oft seen. His dewy locks distilled ambrosia. On that tree he also gazed. And, O fair plant, said he, with fruits surcharged, deigns none to ease thy load and taste thy sweet. Nor God, nor man, is knowledge so despised, or envy, or what reserve forbids to taste. Forbid who will, none shall from me withhold longer thy offered good. Why else set here? This said, he paused not, but with venturous arm he plucked, he tasted. Me damp horror chilled at such bold words, vaught with a deed so bold. But he thus overjoyed, O fruit divine, sweet of thyself, but much more sweet thus cropped, forbidden here, it seems, as onely fit for gods, yet able to make gods of men. And why not gods of men? Since good, the more communicated, more abundant grows. The author not impaired, but honoured more. Here, happy creature, fair angelic Eve, partake thou also. Happy though thou art, happier thou mayst be, worthier canst not be. Taste this, and henceforth among the gods, thyself a goddess, not to earth confined, but sometimes in the air as we, sometimes ascend to heaven by merit thine, and see what life the gods live there, and such live thou. So saying, he drew nigh, and to me held, even to my mouth of that same fruit, held part which he had plucked. The pleasant savoury smell so quickened appetite, that I, methought, could not but taste. Forthwith up to the clouds with him I flew, and underneath beheld the earth outstretched immense, a prospect wide and various. Wondering at my flight and change to this high exaltation, suddenly my guide was gone, and I, methought, sunk down and fell asleep. But oh, how glad I waked to find this but a dream. Thus Eve her night related, and thus Adam answered sad. Best image of myself and dearer half, the trouble of thy thoughts this night in sleep affects me equally. Nor can I like this uncouth dream of evil sprung, I fear. Yet evil whence? In thee can harbour none, created pure. But know that in the soul are many lesser faculties that serve reason as chief. Among these fancies next her office holds, of all external things, which the 5 watchful senses represent. She forms imaginations, airy shapes, which reason joining or disjoining frames all what we affirm or what deny, and call our knowledge or opinion, and then retires into her private cell when nature rests. Oft in her absence mimic fancies wakes, to imitate her, but misjoining shapes. Wild work produces oft, and most in dreams, ill matching words and deeds long past or late. Some such resemblances, methinks, I find of our last evening's talk in this thy dream, but with addition strange. Yet be not sad. Evil in the mind of God or man may come and go, so unapproved, and leave no spot or blame behind, which gives me hope that when in sleep thou didst adore to dream, waking thou never wilt consent to do. Be not disheartened then, nor cloud those looks that won't be more cheerful or serene than when fair morning first smiles on the world, and letters to our fresh employments rise, among the groves, the fountains, and the flowers, that open now their choicest bosomed smells reserved from night, and kept for thee in store, so cheered he his fairy spouse, and she was cheered, but silently a gentle tear let fall from either eye, and wiped them with her hair. 2 other precious drops that stood ready, each in their crystal sluice, here they fell, kissed as the gracious signs of sweet remorse and pious awe, that feared to have offended, so all was cleared, and to the field they haste. But first from under shady adorous roof, soon as they forth were come to open sight of day, spring, and the sun, who scarce uprisen, with wheels yet hovering o'er the ocean brim, shot parallel to the earth his dewy ray, discovering in wide landscape all the east of paradise in Eden's happy plains. Lowly they bowed adoring, and began their orisons, each morning duly paid in various style. For neither various style nor holy rapture wanted they to praise their Maker. In fit strains pronouncing or song unmediated, such prompt eloquence flowed from their lips, in prose or numerous verse, more tunable than needed lute or harp to add more sweetness, and thus they began, these are the glorious works. Parent of good, almighty, thine, this universal frame, thus wondrous fair, thyself how wondrous then, unspeakable, who sits above these heavens, to us invisible or dimly seen. In these thy lowest works, yet these declare thy goodness beyond thought, and power divine. Speak ye who best can tell, ye sons of light, angels, for ye behold him, and with songs and choral symphonies, day without night, circle his throne rejoicing. Ye in heaven, on earth join all ye creatures to extol him first, him last, him mist and without end, fairest of stars, last in the train of night. If better thou belong not to the dawn, sure pledge of day that crownest the smiling morn, with thy bright circlet praise him in thy sphere, while day arises, that sweet hour of prime, thou sun of this great world, both eye and soul acknowledge him, thy greater. Sound his praise in thy eternal course, both when thou climbest, and when high noon hast gained, and when thou fallest, moon, that now meetest the orient sun, now flist with the fixed stars, fixed in their orb that flies, and yet five over wandering fires that move in mystic dance, not without song. Resound his praise, who out of darkness called up light, air, and all ye elements, the eldest birth of nature's womb, that in quaternion run perceptual cycle, multiform and mix, and nourish all things. Let your ceaseless change vary to our great Maker still new praise. Ye mists and exhalations that now rise from hill or steaming lake, duck sea or grey, till the sun paint your fleecy skirts with gold, in honour of the world's great author rise. Whether to deck with clouds the uncoloured sky, or wet the thistle earth with falling showers, rising or falling, still advance his praise ye winds, that from four quarters blow, beneath breath soft or loud, and wave your tops, ye pines, with every plant, in sign of worship wave. Fountains in ye that warble as ye flow, melodious rumours. Melodious murmurs warbling tune his praise. Join voices, all ye living souls, ye birds, that singing up to heaven gate ascend, bear on your wings and in your notes ye praise. Yet that in ye that in waters glide, and ye that walk the earth, and stately tread or lowly creep, witness if I be silent. Morn or even, to hill or valley, fountain or fresh shade, made vocal by my song, and taught his praise. Hail, universal Lord, be bounteous still, to give us only good, and if the night hath gathered out of evil or concealed, disperse it, as now light dispels the dark. So prayed they innocent, and to their thoughts firm peace recovered soon and wonted calm. Unto their morning's rural work they haste, among sweet dews and flowers, where any row of fruit trees over wordy reached too far their pampered boughs and needed hands to check fruitless embraces, or they led the vine to wed her elm. She spoused about him twines her marriageable arms, and with her brings her down the adopted clusters to adorn his barren leaves. Them thus employed beheld with pity heaven's high king, and to him called Raphael, the sociable spirit that deigned to travel with Tobias, and secured him marriage with the 7 times? Yep, okay. His marriage with the 7 times wedded maid. Raphael, said he, Thou hearest what stir on earth? Satan from hell, scapt through the darksome gulf, hath raised in paradise, and now disturbed this night the human pair, how he dines in them at once to ruin all mankind. Go, therefore, half this day as friend with friend, converse with Adam in that bower or shade. Thou findest him from the heat of noon retired to respite his day labour with repast, or with repose, and such discourse bring on, and may advise him of his happy state, happiness in his power, left free to will, left to his own free will, his will though free, yet mutable, whence warn him to beware, he swerve not to secure. Tell him withal his danger, and from whom, what enemy late fallen himself from heaven is plotting now, the fall of others from like state of bliss, by violence no, for that shall be withstood, but by deceit and lies. This let him know, least wilfully transgressing he pretend, surprisal, unadonishment, unforewarned. So spake the eternal Father, and fulfilled all justice. Nor delayed the winged saint after his charge received, but from among thousand celestial adores, where he stood valid with his gorgeous wings, upspringing light, flew through the mist of heaven the angelic choirs, on each hand parting. His speed gave way through all the imperial road, till at the gate of heaven arrived, the gate self opened wide, on golden hinges turning, as by work divine the sovereign architect had framed. From hence no cloud, or to obstruct his sight, star interposed, however small he sees, not uncommon to the other shining globes, earth, and the garden of God, with cedars crowned above all hills, as when by night the glass of Galileo, less assured, observes imagined lands and regions in the moon. Or Pilot, from amidst the Cyclades, Delos or Samos first appearing kens a cloudy spot. Down thither prone in flight he speeds, and through the vast ethereal sky sails between worlds and worlds, with steady wing now on the polar winds, then with quick fan winnows the buxom air, till within soar of towering eagles, to all the fowls he seems a phoenix gazed by all, as that sole bird when to enshrine his reliquaries in the sun's bright temple. To the Egyptian Thebes he flies, and once on the eastern cliff of paradise he lights, and to his proper shape returns, a seraph winged. 6 wings he wore to shade his lineaments divine. The pair that clad each shoulder broad came mantling o'er his breast with regal ornament. The middle pair girt like a starry zone his waist, and round skirted his loins and thighs with downy gold and colours dipped in heaven. The third, his feet, shadowed from either heel with feathered mail, sky-tinctured grain. Like Maya's son he stood, and shook his plumes. The heavenly fragrance filled the circuit wide. Straight knew him all the bands of angels under watch. And to his state, and to his message high in honour rise, for on some message high they guessed him bound. There glittering tents he passed, and now is come into blissful field, through groves of myrrh and flowing odours, cassia, nard, and balm. O wildness of sweets, for nature here wantoned as in her prime, and played at will her virgin fancies, pouring forth more sweet, wild, above rule or art, enormous bliss. Him through the spicy forest onward come Adam discerned, and in the door he sat, of his cool bower, while now the mounted sun shot down direct his fervid rays to warm earth's inmost womb, more warmth than Adam need. And Eve, within due at her hour prepared, for dinner savoury fruits of taste to please true appetite, and not to disrelish thirst, of nectarous draughts between, from milky stream, berry, or grape, to whom thus Adam called, Haste hither, Eve, and worth thy sight behold. Eastward among those trees what glorious shape comes this way moving? Seems another morn risen on mid-noon. some great behest from heaven to us perhaps he brings. And will vouchsafe this day to be our guest? But go with speed, and what thy stores contain, bring forth and pour abundance, fit to honour and receive our heavenly stranger. Well, we may afford our givers their own gifts, and large bestow from large bestowed, where nature multiplies her fertile growth, and by disturbing grows more fruitful, which instructs us not to spare. To whom thus Eve, Adam, earth's hallowed mould of God inspired, small store will serve where store, or reasons ripe for use hangs on the stalk, save what by frugal storing firmness gains to nourish, and superfluous moist consumes. But I will haste, and from each bough and beak break, each plant and juicious gourd will pluck such choice to entertain our angel guest. Excuse me. As he beholding shall confess that here on earth God hath dispensed his bounties as in heaven, so saying on hospitable thoughts intent, what choice to choose for delicate best, what order so contrived as not to mix tastes not well joined, inelegant, but bring taste after taste, upheld with kindliest change, bestirs her then, and from each tender stalk whatever earth or bearing mother yields, in India east or west, or middle shore in Pontus, or the Punic coast, where Alcinous reigned, fruit of all kindness, in coat rough or smooth rind, or bearded husk or shell she gathers, tribute large and on the board heaps with unsparing hand. For drink the grape she crushes in offensive moust, and meads from many a berry, from sweet kernels pest she tempers dulcet creams, nor these to hold wants her fit vessels pure, then strews the ground with rosen odours from shrubbed uniform unformed. Meanwhile our primitive great sire to meet his godlike guest walks forth without more train, accompanied then with his own complete perfection. In himself was all his state, more solemn than the tedious pomp that awaits on princes, when their rich retinue long of horses led and grooms besmeared with gold dazzles the crowd, and sets them all agape. Ne'er his presence Adam, though not awed, yet with submiss approach and reverence meek, as to a superior nature bowing low, thus said: native of heaven, for other place none can then heaven such glorious shape contain, since by descending from the thrones above, those happy places thou hast deigned a while to want and honour these, vouchsafe with us two only, who yet by sovereign gift possess this spacious ground, in yonder shady bower to rest, and what the garden choicest bears to sit and taste, till this meridian heat be over, and the sun more cool decline, whom thus the angelic virtue answered mild Adam. I therefore came, nor art thou such created, or such place hast here to dwell, as may not oft invite those spirits of heaven to visit thee. Lead on. No, don't you dare try to install an update. Sorry. Now I'm lost. As may not oft invite thou spirits of heaven to visit thee, lead on then where thou bower o'ershades, for these mid-hours till evening rise I have at will. So to the sylvan lodge they came, that the pomona's arbour smiled with florets decked and fragrant smells, but Eve undecked, save with herself, more lovely fair than wood nymph, or the fairest goddess feigned of three that in Mount Eden naked strove, stood to entertain her guests from heaven. No veil she needed, virtue proof, no thought infirm altered her cheek, on whom the angels' hail bestowed the holy situation as long after the blessed Mary, second Eve, hail mother of mankind, whose fruitful womb shall fill the world, more numerous with thy sons than with those various fruits the trees of God have heaped this table. Raised a grassy turf the table was, and mossy seats had round, and on her ample square from side to side all autumn piled. Though spring and autumn here danced hand in hand, a wild discourse they hold, no fear lest dinner cool. And when thus began our author, heavenly stranger, pleased to taste these bounties with our nourisher, from whom all perfect good unmeasured out descends, to us for food and for delight hath caused the earth to yield, and savoury food perhaps to spiritual natures. Only this I know, that one celestial Father gives to all, to whom the angel, therefore, what he gives, whose praise be ever sung, to man impart spiritual, may of purest spirits be found no ingrateful food. And food alike those pure intelligential substances require, as doth your rationale, and both contain within them every lower faculty of sense, whereby they hear, see, smell, touch, tasting, concoct, digest, assimilate, and corporeal to incorporeal turn. For no, whatever was created needs to be sustained and fed. Of elements, the grosser feeds the purer. Earth, the sea, earth and the sea feed air. The air feeds those fires ethereal. And as lowest first the moon, whence in her visage round these spots unpurged, vapours not yet in her substance turn, nor doth the moon no nourishment exhale from her moist continent to higher orbs. The sun that imparts to all receives from all his ailment recomps in humid exhalations, and even at sups, and the ocean, though in heaven the trees of life ambrosial fruitage bear, and vines yield nectar, though from the baths each morn we brush mellifluous dews, and find the ground covered with pearly grain. Yet God hath there varied his bounty so with new delights, as may compare with heaven, and to taste, think not I shall be nice. So down they sat, and to their viands fell, nor seemingly the angel, nor in mist the common gloss of theologians, but with keen dispatch of real hunger and concoctive heat, to transubstantiate what redounds, transpires through spirits with ease, nor wonder, if by fire of sooty coal the empiric alchemist can turn, or holds it possible to turn metals of drowsiest ore to perfect gold, as from the mine. Meanwhile at table Eve ministered naked, and their flowing cups with pleasant liquors crowned. O innocent deserving paradise, if ever then had the Son of God excuse to have been enamoured at the sight, but in those hearts love libidinous reigned not, nor jealousy was understood, the injured lover's hell. Thus, when meats and drinks they had sufficed, not burdened by nature, sudden mind arose in Adam, not to let the occasion pass, given him by this great conference to know of things above his world, and of their being who dwell in heaven, whose excellence he saw transcend his own so far, whose radiant forms divine effulgence, whose high power so far exceed human, and his wary speech thus to the imperial minister he framed, inhabitant with God. Now know I well thy favour, in this honour done to man, under those lowly roof thou hast vouchsafed to enter, and these earthly fruits to taste, food not of angels, yet accepted so, as that more willingly thou couldst not seem at heaven's high feast to have fed. Yet what compare? To the angel-winged hierarch replied, O Adam, one Almighty is, from whom all things proceed, and up to him return. If not depraved from good, created all such to perfection, one first matter all, endued with various forms, various degrees of substance, and in things that live, or life, and in things that live of life, but more refined, more spirituous and pure, as nearer to him placed or nearer tending, each in their service active, spheres assigned, till body up to spirit work in bounds proportioned to each kind. So from the root springs lighter the green stalk, from thence the leaves more airy. Last the bright consummate flower spirits odorous breaths, flowers and their fruit man's nourishment, by gradual scale sublimed to vital spirits aspire, to animal, to intellect, give both life and sense, fancy and understanding, whence the soul reason receives and reason is her being. Discursive or intuitive, discourse is oft yours, the latter most is ours, differing but in degree, of kind the same. Wonder not then what God for you saw good, if I refuse not, but convert as you to proper substance. Time may come when men with angels may participate, and find no inconvenient diet, nor too light fare, and from these corporeal nutrients perhaps your bodies may at least turn all to spirit, improved by tract of time and winged ascend ethereal as we, or may at choice here in the heavenly paradises dwell, if ye be found obedient and retain unalterably firm his love entire, whose progeny you are. Meanwhile enjoy your fill, what happiness this happy state can comprehend, incapable of more. To whom the patriarch of mankind replied, O favourable spirit, propitious guest, well hast thou taught the way that might direct our knowledge, and the scale of nature set from centre to circumference, whereon in contemplation of created things by steps we may ascend to God. But say, what meant that caution joined, if ye be found obedient? Can we want obedience, then, to him, or possibly his love desert? I'm hoping you can't hear those dogs. Woof, woof. Maybe Cerberus is at the door. Anyway, can we want obedience, then, to him, or possibly his love desert, who formed us from the dust and placed us here, full to the utmost measure of what bliss human desires can seek or apprehend, to whom the angel, Son of heaven and earth, attend, that thou art happy, O to God, that thou continuest such, O to thyself, that is, to thy obedience therein stand. This was that caution given thee, be advised, God made thee perfect, not immutable, and good he made thee, but to preserve he left it in thy power, ordained thy will by nature free, not overruled by fate, inextricable, or strict necessity. Our volunteer service he requires, not our necessated. Such with him finds no acceptance, nor confined, for how can hearts not free be tried whether they serve willing or no? Who will but what they must by destiny, and can no other choose? Myself and all that angelic host that stand in sight of God enthroned, our happy state hold, as you yours, while our obedience holds on other surety none. Freely we serve, because we freely love, as is our will, to love or not. In this we stand or fall, and some are fallen to disobedience, fallen. And so heaven to deepest hell, O fall from what high state of bliss into what woe, to whom our great progenitor, thy words attentive, and with more delighted ear divine instructor, I have heard, then when cherubic songs by night from neighbouring hills aerial music send, nor knew I not to be both will and deed created free, yet we never shall forget to love our Maker and obey him whose command single is yet so just. My constant thoughts assured me, and still assure, though that what thou tellest hath passed in heaven, some doubt within me move, but more desire to hear, if thou consent, the full relation which must needs be strange, worthy of sacred silence to be heard. And we have yet large day, for scarce the sun hath finished half his journey, and scarce begins his other half in the great zone of heaven. Thus Adam made request, and Raphael After short pause assenting, thus began. High matter thou enjoin'st me, O prime of men, sad task and hard. For how shall I relate to human sense the invisible exploits of warring spirits? How, without remorse, the ruin of so many glorious once and perfect, while they stood? How last unfold the secrets of another world, perhaps not lawful to reveal? Yet, for thy good, this is disbanked, and what surmounts the each of human sense, I shall delineate so, by likening spiritual to corporeal form, as may express them best. Though what if earth be but the shadow of heaven, and things therein each to other like? More than on earth is thought, as yet this world was not, and chaos wild reigned where these heavens not rowl, where earth now rests upon her centre, poised when on a day. For time, though in eternity applied to motion, measures all things durable by present, past, and future. On such day as heaven's great year brings forth thy imperial host of angels, by imperial summons called, innumerable before thy Almighty's throne, forthwith from all the ends of heaven appeared under thy hierarchies in order bright, 10,000 ensigns, high advanced standards, and gonfalons twixt van and rear. Stream in the air and for distinction serve of hierarchies of orders and degrees, or in the glittering tissues bear emblazed holy memorials, act of zeal and love recorded eminent. Thus, when in the orbs of circuit inexpressible they stood, orb within orb, the Father infinite, but whom in bliss embosomed sat the Son amidst excuse me. A mist as from a flaming mount, whosoever brightness had made invisible, thus spake. Hear ye all angels, progeny of light, thrones, dominations, princedoms, virtues, powers, hear my degree, which unrevoked shall stand. This day I begot whom I declare my only Son, and on this holy hill him hath anointed, whom ye now behold, and my right hand, your head, I him appoint, and by myself have sworn to him shall bow all knees in heaven, and shall confess him Lord, under his great vice regent reign abide, united as one individual soul. For ever happy him who disobeys me disobeys, breaks union, and that day cast out from God and blessed vision falls into utter darkness. Deep engulfed his place, ordained without redemption, without end. Or spake the omnipotent, and with his words all seemed well pleased, all seemed, but were not all. That day, as others solemn days, they spent in song and dance about the sacred hill. Mystical dance which yonder starry sphere of planets, and of fixed in all her wheels resembles merest mazes, intricate, eccentric, intervolved, yet regular. Then when most irregular they seem, and in their motions harmony divine, so smooths her charming tones that God's own ear lights delighted. Evening approached, for we have also our evening and our morn. We ours for change delectable, not need. Forthwith from dance to sweet repast they turn, desirous all in circles as they stood. Tables are set, and on a sudden piled with angels' food, and rubied nectar flows, in pearl, in diamond, and massy gold. Fruit of delicious vines that grow, the growth of heaven, they eat, they drink, and with reflections sweet are filled before thee, bounteous King, who shroud with copious mind rejoicing in their joy, when the ambrosial night with clouds exhaled from that high mount of God, whence light and shade spring both, the face of brightest heaven had changed to grateful twilight, for night comes not there in darker veil, and rose-seated dews disposed all but the unsleeping eyes of God to rest. Wide over all the plain, and wider far than all the glorious earth in plain outspread, such are the courts of God. The angelic throng dispersed in bands and flies their camp extend. by living streams among the trees of life. Pavilions numberless and sudden reared, celestial tabernacles where they slept, fanned with cool winds, save those who in their course melodious hymns with the sovereign throne alternate all night long. But not so waked Satan, so call him now. His former name is heard no more heaven. He is the first, if not the first archangel, great in power, in favour and preeminence, yet fraught with envy against the Son of God. That day honoured by his great Father and proclaimed a Messiah King anointed. Could not bear through pride that sight, and thought himself impaired, deep malice thence conceiving and disdain, soon as midnight brought on the dusky hour, friendliest to sleep and silence, he resolved with all his legions to dislodge, and leave unworshipped, unobeyed the throne supreme, contemptuous. And his next subordinate, awakening, thus to him in secret spake: Sleepest thou, companion dear? What sleep can close thy eyelids? And rememberest what decree of yesterday so late hath passed the lips of heaven's Almighty? Thou to me my thoughts wast wont, I mine to thee was wont to impart. Both waking we were one. How then can now thy sleep dissent? New laws thou seest imposed, new laws from him who reigns. New minds may raise in us who serve, new counsels to debate what doubtful may ensue. More in this place to utter is not safe. Assemble thou of all the myriads which we lead the chief. Tell them that by command, ere yet dim night her shadowy cloud withdraws, I am to haste, and all who under me thy banners wave, homeward with flying march where we possess the quarters of the north, here to prepare for fit entertainment to receive our King, the great Messiah, and his new commands, who speedily through all the hierarchies intends to pass triumphant and give laws. So spake the false archangel, and infused bad influence into the unwary breast of his associate. He together calls, all several, one by one, the regent powers. Under him regent tells, as he was taught, that the most high commanding, now ere night, now ere dim night, had disencumbered heaven, the great hierarchical standard was to move. Tells the suggested cause, and casts between ambiguous words and jealousies, to sound or taint integrity. But all obeyed the wanton signal and superior voice of thy great potentate. For great indeed his name, and high was his degree in heaven. His countenance, as the morning star that guides the starry flock, allured them, and with lies drew after him the third part of heaven's host. Meanwhile the eternal eye, whose sight discerns abstrusest thoughts, from forth his holy mount, and from within the golden lamps that burn nightly before him, saw without their light rebellion rising. Saw in whom, how spread among the sons of morn, what multitudes were banded to oppose his decree, and smiling to his lonely son thus: Son, thou in whom my glory I behold in full resplendence, heir of all my might, nearly it now concerns us to be sure of our omnipotence, and with what arms we mean to hold what anciently we claim or deny of empire, of deity or empire. Such a foe is rising, who intends to erect his throne equal to ours. Throughout his spacious north, not so content, hath in his thought to try in battle what our power is, or our right. Let us advise, and to this hazard draw, what speed, what force is left, and to all employ in our defence, lest unawares we lose this our high place, our sanctuary, our hill, to whom the sun with calm aspect and clear lightning divine, ineffable, serene, made with answer, mighty Father, though thou foes justly hast in derision and secure laughed at thy vain designs and tumults vain, matter to me of glory, whom thy hate illustrates when they see your regal power given me to quell their pride, and in event know whether I be dexterous to subdue thy rebels, or be found the worst in heaven. So spake the Son. But Satan and his powers far was advanced on winged speed, and a host innumerable as the stars of night, of stars of morning, dewdrops, which the sun impels on every leaf and every flower. Regions they passed, the mighty regencies of seraphim and potentates, and thrones in their triple degrees, regions to which all thy dominion, Adam, is no more than what this garden is to all the earth and all the sea, from one entire globe stretched into longitude, which having passed at length into the limits of the north they came, and Satan, to his royal seat, high on a hill, far blazing as a mount raised on a mount, with pyramids and towers from diamond quarries hewn and rocks of gold. I think you can hear some of the dogs, can't you? I'm going to shut the door. Sorry about that. Dogs in Mexico is a thing. Right. From diamond quarries hewn and rocks of gold, the palace of great Lucifer, so call that structure in the derelict of men interpreted, which not long after he, affecting all equality with God, in imitation of that mount whereon Messiah was declared in sight of heaven, the mountain of the congregation called, for thither he assembled all his train, pretending so commanded to consult about the great reception of their king, thither to come, and with calumnious art or counterfeited truth thus held their ears, thrones, dominations, princedoms, virtues, powers, if these magnific titles yet remain, not merely titular, since by decree another now hath to himself engrossed all power, and us eclipsed under the name of King anointed, for whom all this haste of midnight march and hurried meeting here, this wanly to consult how we may best, with what may be devised of honours new, receive him coming to receive from us, need tribute yet unpaid. Prostration vile, too much to one, but double how endured, to one and to his image how proclaimed? But what if better counsels might erect of minds and teachers to cast off this yoke? Will ye submit your necks and choose to bend the supple knee? Ye will not, if I trust to know ye right, or if ye know yourselves, natives and sons of heaven possessed before by none, and if not equal all, yet free, equally free, for orders and degrees jar not with liberty, but well consist, who can in reason then or right assume monarchy over such as live by right his equals, if in power and splendour less, in freedom equal? Or can introduce law and edict on us, who without law earn not, much less for this to be our lord, and look for adoration to the abuse of those imperial titles which assert our being ordained to govern, not to serve? Thus far his bold discourse without control had audience, when among the seraphim Abdiel, then, whom none with more zeal adore the deity, and divine commands obeyed, stood up, and in a flame of zeal serve the current of his fury thus, and sever the current of his fury thus opposed. O argument blasphemous, false and proud! Words which no ear ever to hear in heaven expected, least of all from thee, ingrate, in place thyself so high above thy peers. Canst thou with impious oblique condemn the just decree of God, pronounced and sworn that to his only Son, by right endured with regal sceptre, every soul in heaven shall bend the knee, and in that great honour due confess him rightful king? Unjust, thou sayest, flatly, unjust to bind with laws the free, and equal over equals to let reign, one over all with unsucceeded power? Shalt thou give law to God? Shalt thou dispute with him the points of liberty, who made thee what thou art, and formed the powers of heaven, such as he pleased, and circumscribed their being? Yet by experience taught we know how good, and of our good, and of our dignity, how provident he is, how far from thought to make us less, bent rather to exalt our happy state under one head, more near united. But to grant it thee unjust, that equal over equals monarch reign. Thyself, though great and glorious, dost thou count, or all angelic nature joined in one, equal to him begotten Son, by whom, as by his word, the mighty Father made all things, even thee, and all the spirits of heaven, by created in their bright degrees, crowned them with glory, and their glory named, thrones, dominations, princedoms, virtues, powers, essential powers, nor by his reign obscured, but more illustrious made, since he the head one of our number thus reduced becomes, his laws our laws, all honour to him done returns our own. Cease then in his pious rage, and tempt not these, but hasten to appease thy incensed father and thy incensed son, while pardon may be found in time besought. So spake the fervent angel, but his zeal none seconded, as out of season judged, or singular and rash, whereat rejoiced the apostate, and more haughtily thus replied, That we were formed, that sayest thou, and the work of secondary hands by task transferred from father to his son? Strange point and new, doctrine which we would know whence learnt. Who saw when this creation was? Remember'st thou thy making, while the Maker gave thee being? We know no time when we were not as now, know none before us, self-begot, self-raised, by our own quickening power. When fatal course has circled his full orb, the birth mature of our native heaven, ethereal sons, our puissance is our own right hand shall teach us highest deeds, by proof to try who is our equal, then thou shalt behold, whether by supplication we intend, address, and to begirt thy almighty throne, beseeching or besieging. This report, these tidings carry to thy anointed king, and fly ere evil intercept thy flight, he said, and as the sound of waters deep hoarse murmur echoed to his words of applause through the infinite host, nor less for that the flaming seraph fearless, though alone encompassed round with foes, thus answered bold or alienate from God, O spirit accursed, forsaken of all good, I see thy fall, determine thy hapless crew involved in this perfidious fraud. Contagion spread, both of thy crime and punishment, henceforth no more by troubled how to quit the yoke. O God's Messiah, these indulgent laws will not be now vouchsafed. Others decree against thee are gone forth without recall. That golden sceptre which thou didst reject is now an iron rod to bruise and break thy disobedience. Well, thou didst advise, yet not for thy advice or threats I fly. These wicked tents devoted, lest thy wrath impendent, raging into sudden flame, distinguish not, for soon expect to feel his thunder on thy head, devouring fire. Then, who created thee lamenting learn, when who can uncreate thee thou shalt know. So spake Seraph Abiel, faith found among the faithless, faithful only he, among innumerable false, unmoved, unshaken, unseduced, unterrified. His loyalty he kept, his love, his zeal. Nor number, nor example with him wrought to swerve the truth, or change his constant mind, though single. From a mist them forth he passed, long way through hostile scorn, which he sustained superior, nor of violence feared out. And, with retorted scorn, his back he turned on those proud towers to swift destruction doomed. The end of the 5th book of Paradise Lost. So there we go. Book 5 of Paradise Lost. And next Monday will be book 6, because that's how numbers work. So I hope you enjoyed that. The next podcast episode has yet to be recorded, because it's going to be a long one. It's also going to be another story. I'm going to be delving back into the Mabinogion, and this one's quite a long one, so I'm just kind of putting off recording it because I'm lazy. But hopefully this week I should record it, if not sooner rather than later. Also, I'm going to be on Stolen Fires, running Tales from the Loop in Norfolk, so that's going to be fun. So check out that soon. All the links and everything for that when it happens will be on social medias and wherever and whatnot, so you can go find that there. Don't really have anything else to say, so thank you very much, everyone. Links for everything are in the show notes and whatever, so if you want to read the book without hearing my voice, you can go to Gutenberg Press and find it there. So, as I say, I hope you all enjoyed that, and good night, my friends.